legislative, executive, and judicial branches of government. Judicial branches of government should not be combined in a single person or institution, or any formulated theory of checks and balances. Montesquieu, the benign interpretation of the Hanoverian system, in which the power of a sovereign's minister essentially depends on the consent of Parliament, had a lasting influence on constitutions makers in many parts of the world. Okay. Principle, separation of powers. Parliament, legislative, and executive. But wasn't that a thing that Locke also talked about? But how is that not a monarchy? Monarchy is just with a monarch, right? Oh, but it doesn't mean that the power is in the monarchs. Okay. Constitutional monarchy. Okay. I get it. Okay. What is liberty? What is liberty? A right of doing whatever the law permits. Is that all, you may wonder? Doesn't a citizen of a tyranny have much freedom? That's from Montesquieu. A despot ruled not by law but by decree. Decree is like a statement or something. Definition: decree. Decree of the king. An official order. Only an instrument created by an independent legislature counts as a law. Okay. Only an instrument. Created by independent legislatory Where is it? Legislature. Counts as a law. As a law. Secondly, including from Montesquieu's own time, citizens have often been at risk of arbitrary arrest for action that will perfectly be offensive. Arbitrary arrest. Arbitrary arrest. Arrest. By offending those in power. Montesquieu offered another more substantial definition of liberty. It does not consist. Okay. Another more substantial notion of liberty. To will and then not be. Substantial notion of liberty does not consist in freedom, consist in freedom from all restraint. Okay, but in the power of doing what we ought to will, and in not being constrained to do what we ought not to will. This link between liberal social institutions and the idealist form of the individual will is developed into a substantial... Oh jeez, wat staat de muziek hard? Zo. But in the power of doing what we ought to will, and in not being constrained to do what we ought. Okay, Rousseau and the general will. Okay, Rousseau and the general will. Hey, oh there, yeah. General will. General spirit. They're about to be encouraged to reject the social order. That it is a sacred right, which is the basis of socialism, no things liberate rather than shame. What? Whoa, 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 whoa! Liberate. State of nature. Motivated by self-love. To be sure, but self-love is not the same as egoism. Not egoism. Sympathy can be sympathetic. Man has only simple animal desires. Only simple animal desires. The only good he acknowledges... Hey, pussy! The only good he acknowledges in the world are food, a female, and sleep. The only ills he fears are pain and hunger. These desires are not as inherently competitive as the quest for power in more sophisticated societies. Not that competitive. As sophisticated societies. Reason hop against Locke. They didn't say there are no property rights, therefore neither justice nor injustice. Economic cooperation and technical process make necessary. Social contract, general will. General will. The general will comes into existence when each of us puts his person and all his power in common under the supreme direction of the general will. Our corporate capacity receives each member as an indivisible part of the whole. Each member indivisible part of the whole. This compact creates a public person. Public person. Moral collective body and collective body. The state or sovereign people. Every individual is both a citizen and a subject. Both citizen and subject. Individual. Contrast to Hobbes. No existence independent of the citizens, independent of contracting citizens. Consequently, it can have no interest independent of theirs. It expresses the general will, and it cannot go wrong in its pursuit of public good. Cannot go wrong. In pursuit public good. Men lose their natural liberty to grasp whatever tempts them, but they gain civil liberty. Okay, natural liberty becomes liberty becomes civil liberty, which permits the stable ownership of property. Stable ownership. Property. Hey. Aww. Oh, what is there? Oh, fuck. Oh my god! But what is the general will, and how is it ascertained? It is not the same as the unanimous will of the citizens. Rousseau distinguished between the general will, and will of all. An individual's will may go contrary to the general will. There is often considerable difference between the will of all and the general will. The latter is concerned only with the common interest, the former with interests that are partial. So common, partial. Being itself but the sum of particular wills. Should we say then that the general will should be identified with the will of the majority of the no. The deliberations of a popular assembly are by no means infallible. Voters may suffer from ignorance or be swayed by individual self-interest. It appears to follow that even the general will is not ascertainable. Oh, so to be ascertainable means to get, right? Ascertainable. Okay. To discover with certainty. Okay, yeah, that sounds logical. Even by a referendum. And this seems to make an abstraction of no practical value, but Rousseau believed that it could be determined by plebiscite. What is plebiscite? Plebiscite. The direct vote of all the members of an electorate on an important public. The direct vote. First. Okay. General will can be ascertainable by a plebiscite on two conditions. Two conditions is fair. 1. Every voter fully informed. That seems hard to do though. And second, no 2 voters. Okay, second, no 2 voters. Voters communication. It is essential, Rousseau wrote, general wills to be able to express himself, that there should be no partial society within the state, to think only his own thoughts. Each individual should only think his own thoughts. So individuals should be actively thinking themselves and not just go to the common thought, which is the general will. So it's kind of strange. This is more the will of all, isn't it? So not only political parties but religious groups also must be banned if the general will is to find expression in a referendum. It is only within the context of the entire community that the differences between the self-interest of individuals will cancel out and yield the self-interest of the sovereign people as a whole. Okay, self-interest. So the goal is that the self-interest focuses on the society. Rousseau is no devotee. Principle of the separation of powers, the sovereignty of the people, he says, is indivisible. If you separate the powers of the legislative and executive branches, you make the sovereignty chimerical. Division power. Sovereign. Chimerical? So I'm not sure what it means. So I'm gonna look it up again. Chimerical. Widely fanciful or imaginative. Highly unrealistic. Okay. However, practical division of responsibility follows from its requirement that the sovereign people should legislate only on very general matters. Sovereign people legislate only on general matters. Leaving executive power concerning particular issues in the hands of a government as an intermediary between subjects and sovereign. But the government must always act as a delegate of the people. Delegate of the people. And ideally, a popular assembly should meet at regular intervals to confirm the constitution and to renew or terminate the mandate of the holders of public office. Assembly. Ideally meet regularly. Okay. This type of arrangement here proposed by Rousseau seems practicable only in a Swiss canton, a city-state like Geneva, but he insisted, like Montesquieu, that one cannot specify a single form of government as appropriate to all. Okay, like Montesquieu. No government appropriate to all circumstances. However, an issue of much wider application is raised by the theory of general will. Okay. Issue general will. A citizen in a Rousseauian state gives consent to all laws, including those that are passed in spite of his opposition. What in such a polity are the rights of dissident minorities? What are dissident? Okay, to official policy. Tacitly. So opposing. Okay. Tacitly. Wait, that's understood or implied without. Includes an undertaking that whoever refuses to submit to it may be constrained. Okay. And he shall be forced to be free. Ha ha ha. Forced to be free, bitches. So if you are opposing the laws, you are then conform to it with force. And therefore you are forced to be free. If I vote against the measure which then triumphs in a poll, this shows that I was mistaken about where my true good and my genuine freedom were to be found. Okay. If I can be wrong, where my true good and genuine freedom is to be found. Okay. But the freedom that an imprisoned malefactor. What is a malefactor? Person who commits a crime, something wrong, enjoys is only the rather rarefied freedom to be a reluctant expression of the general will. What? Malefactor. Rare expression. Okay, rarefied freedom. A rarefied freedom, reluctant expression of the general will. Okay. In spite of his with the general will, Rousseau was not a wholehearted supporter of democracy in practice. If there were people of gods, they would govern themselves democratically, but a government of such perfection is not suitable for human beings. Not supporter, no supporter of democracy. The popular assembly government like to be fractious, typically of children, irritable and quarrelsome, and inefficient. Better have an elective and aristocracy-wise govern the masses. Okay. Better. I kinda agree though. I do agree that some people are just too retarded to have a vote on certain things. I think myself, on most subjects, I wouldn't be well informed either. Also, we're not making people, we're not ordering them to first get involved into the subject and then vote. We already give them the option instantly to vote, which is bad in my opinion, because some people just vote based on feelings and do not think of the possible consequences in detail. So yeah. Okay. The rich will do more of the governing. It's already the truth. Not that it's good, but it has to do with that they have more time. And that's the problem. God damn it, I have to find the synonym for announced. Synonym announced. That I just God damn it. That I just issued, that I just expressed, that I just that I just depict, that I just damn it. Where was that I just reported, proclaimed, believed, broadcast, proclaimed maybe, announced. I can't find the word. Enumerated. Point out. Indicated. I guess, but that's still not the word that I'm looking for, but okay, sure. Aangekondigd vertaling. Demagogues. What are demagogues? Demagogues. Definition. Political leader who seeks support by appealing to popular and patriotism. Okay. You feel so amazing. Okay. So, the only part that's now left is Hegel. Hegel on the nation state. God has to do with it. I am sure. On the nation state. Aha! So Hegel changed the general will into the world spirit. There seems a vast difference, Hegel realized, between his thesis of the evolution of the spirit to ever greater freedom and self-consciousness and the dismal spectacle presented by actual history. He accepted that nothing seemed to happen in the world except as the result of self-interested action of individuals. Self-interested action. Individuals. Okay. He was willing to describe history as the slaughterhouse in which the happiness of people, the wisdom of states, and the virtues of individuals are sacrificed. Okay. But the gloom, he maintained, is not justified, for the self-interested action of individuals are the only means by which the ideal destiny of the world can be realized. Yeah. The ideal provide the warp and human passions, the woof of the web of history. Human actions are performed in social contexts, but self-interest need not be egoistic. One can find self-fulfillment in the performance of social roles. It does not need to be egoistic. Sure. My love of my family, my pride in my profession contribute to my happiness without being forms of selfishness. Conversely, social institutions are not a restraint on my freedom. Okay. Social institutions. Are not a restraint on my freedom. Sure, bruh. Okay, let's add some music. A little bit of music. Woo. Yeah. Association North, they expand my freedom. They expand freedom. They expand freedom. Hegel is a cool guy. It's true of the family, and it's also true of what Hegel calls civil society. Organizations such as clubs and businesses. It's true above all of the state, which provides the widest scope for freedom of action, while at the same time furthering the purposes of the world spirit. Why this? Because freedom is... was it freedom or rationality? Both. Also furthering purposes of the world spirit. Yeah. Ideally, a state should be so organized that the private interests of the citizens coincide with the common interests of the state. In respect of history, states and people themselves count among the individuals who are unconsciously instruments by which the world spirit achieves its objects. Okay. There are also some unique figures, great men like Caesar or Napoleon, who have a special role in expressing the will of the world spirit. Great man. Special role. In expressing the world spirit. Why not just spirit, bruh? And who see the aspects of history Oh dear, it never works for some reason. Does it ever work? Why do I never actually see how this is going? How do I do this? Okay. Yeah, whatever, bruh. Fine. Okay. Done, Terry. Special role in expressing the will and see the aspects of history. Oh, they see the aspects of history. They see the aspects of history. For which they are time. Time is ripe. Ooh, that's a cool statement, boy. Such people, however, are the exception, and the normal development of the world spirit through the spirit of particular peoples or nations, the Volksgeist. But mostly Volksgeist. Spirit shows itself in the culture, religion, and philosophy of a people, as well as in social institutions. Nations are not necessarily identical with states. Indeed, when Hegel wrote, the German nation had not yet turned itself into a German state. Okay, nations, not the same as states. But only in a state, a nation becomes self-conscious of itself. Hooray! The creation of the state is the high object for which the world spirit uses individuals and peoples as its instruments. A state for Hegel is not just a coercive instrument for keeping the peace or protecting property, it is a platform for new and higher purposes. State. Whew. A platform for newer, higher purposes. Which extend the liberty of individuals, extend the liberty of individuals. Okay. By giving new dimension to their lives. The state as the incarnation. Oh crap! I forget what incarnation means. Incarnation, like the person who embodies in the flesh, a deity, a spirit or quality. Oh, okay, yeah, I get it now. So, in the flesh. State as the incarnation of freedom. incarnation of freedom. Exists for its own sake. All the worth, all the spiritual reality which the individual citizen possesses, he possesses only through the state. For only by participating social... Okay, by being social, aware, conscious of rationality. I get it. And of himself as a manifestation through the folk spirit of the world spirit. Manifestation of world spirit. The state, Hegel says, is the divine idea as it exists on earth. Divine idea as it exists on earth. Divine idea, however, is not yet fully realized. Divine idea, not yet fully realized. The German spirit, Hegel believed, was the spirit of a new world in which absolute truth would be realized and unlimited freedom. Woo! But even the kingdom of Prussia was not the last word of the world spirit. Given Hegel's constant preference for wholes over their parts, one might expect that in his scheme of things, nation-states would eventually give way to a world state. Hegel disliked world state because it would take away the opportunity for war. Takes away opportunity for war, and you dislike it because it takes a necessary stage in the dialectic of history. War, necessary evil. Okay. Oh, it was not just a ness, but had a positive value. Reminder. Positive value as a reminder of contingent nature of finite existence. Okay, but people die without war anyway, so don't see the argument in that. It was the condition in which we have to take seriously the vanity of temporal goods and things. Accordingly, Hegel attacked Kant's quest for perpetual peace. The future of humanity, Hegel predicted, lay neither in Germany nor in the United World, but rather in America. Okay. Future humanity lays in America. Okay. Or in where in the ages that lie before us the burden of the world's history shall reveal itself. perhaps in a great continental struggle between North and South. The history of Germany, that did happen. I'm not sure if that happened after Hegel. But doesn't matter that he predicted correctly. The history of Germany for a century and more after Hegel's death brought upon his political philosophy a barrage of blockade. Hey, let's go. Blockade, something like that. Strong public disgrace. Okay. Shame. Glorification of the state as an end in itself is belief in the cosmic role of the German people, and his positive evaluation of war can hardly avoid shared response. Okay. He was connected to world wars. He wouldn't mind. He would say, he would actually say, oh, that had to happen, it was necessary, it was so good it happened because now we know the horror.
These things, are you doing them because you really feel an impulse to do them? Or are you doing them mechanically, as we were saying before? Because I really do believe that if you're just
certain ideals.
then you have
That's probably something he would say. And now we know we shouldn't discriminate and stuff, only because of the war. Okay. Just see in the next volume the political evaluation. The great philosophers of the 19th owe as much to the nascent disciplines of economics and sociology as they do the conceptual concerns to remain in an abiding core of pure political philosophy. Fine. And we finish chapter 9, political philosophy. Ooh, did it. Did it in one day. Normally people would be, yeah, okay, now I'm done, hooray. But not me, no. I'm just gonna continue forever. Yes, excellent. Okay. één keer haar. Over 8. Heel even rust nemen. Mentaal. We gaan weer verder daarna. Oh, mijn benen. Oh. Even een eigen shake. Oh, I'm gonna stop my stream for a moment. Thanks. Smell you later.